Hello, I'm Thomas Taplin, and today we're looking at what comes next in the Eurozone now that the recession is thought by many analysts to be at an end and that perhaps the continent is growing again. Well, joining me to discuss this is Chief Economist at East Capital, Markus Svedberg. Thanks for speaking to Dukascopy TV today, Mr. Svedberg. Now, with the German elections out of the way and Angela Merkel winning a historic third term in office, just how realistic is it that the much talked about reforms are going to speed up in the Eurozone, like the unification of banks, for instance? I mean, we've already had the likes of Sweden and Denmark say they won't wait for the euro area on banking reforms by exploring a strategy of imposing leverage ratios. The markets are still losing patience with politicians, even if they do say the recession is behind us. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, no, I think that last part is the crucial one. I think the pressure from the market is no longer very strong on the Eurozone. And the fact that the German election is out of the way means that it's now okay again to start talking about the Eurozone issues, because basically no one talked about them during the campaign. And with the Merkel re-election, it suggests it's going to be a continuation of what we had before, or maybe even a softening of Germany's approach to the program countries, given the setup of the coalition. But I don't expect so much to happen, because there is not really a strong pressure from the market. And based on previous experience, it's really the market, pressure on bond yields that are pushing reforms in the Eurozone.
On the subject of banks in the Eurozone, lending dropped in August. This is nothing new, as we know banks have lacked the confidence for a long time, despite early signs of growth in the EU. Just why are these financial institutions that economies rely on so much still reluctant to loan?
Yeah, I think someone told me a long time ago that you shouldn't expect banks to drive a recovery in the economy. Banks start to lend when the economy has already recovered. So in that sense, I don't, at least my experience is that banks are not really driving the recovery. They tend to be risk averse in this part of the cycle. But when, if this positive momentum we're seeing in the European economy with, it's edging slowly out of recession, then I think, down the road, banks will play a more important role. Demand will come back, and they may also start lending more, a little bit more aggressively. But at this early stage, I don't expect banks to take a lead.
Now, as I mentioned in my intro, many analysts believe Europe is out of the recession. But let's be realistic. The European periphery, as it's often called, is still struggling. Unemployment is rife. Syria is still bubbling away in the background, and banks aren't lending. Whilst other areas of the world are showing sustained growth and policies are gradually working, the EU still feels like a bit of a mess when it comes to its financial operations. Should we be getting excited so soon?
No, I think it's very difficult to become excited about the Eurozone, but it's no longer a major risk. There, the tail risk of Eurozone breaking up, that liquidity will not be enough. I think those risks are much smaller, and the fact that we're actually, seeing some modest signs of growth is positive. But, it's been a long recession, and this growth rates are not, very, very exciting. But at least Europe or the Eurozone is no longer a major risk. I wouldn't say it's a major source of excitement or growth, but I think the downside risks have been reduced. And it's not always the absolute level that matters. It's the trend. Analysts are seeing positive news coming out of the Eurozone, in Germany in particular, and I think that is behind a little bit of this positive sentiment. It doesn't mean that all the problems are solved or that the Eurozone will be the global growth driver. Far from it. But it's just, the trend is a more positive one now than we had before.
One more quick question on Europe before we run out of time. Italy's Prime Minister Enrico Letta, aside from dealing with a renewed governmental crisis, is reported to have said recently that markets don't fully realise the importance of the UK in Europe. Would he have perhaps said the same thing back when the UK economy was stagnating?
I'm not sure. It's a hypothetical question, but I think that the fact that UK, but also, Sweden and other non-Eurozone countries, which is in the northern periphery of Europe, are still, very integrated in the Eurozone economy. They tend to trade a lot with the Eurozone. So, and the UK being a big economy, I do think it still matters a lot. And then having an active, and I also think there is a realization and an ambition in Europe, certainly in Germany, to have also the UK become, or remaining an active part of European politics and the trade link. So, you may speculate, the timing of the statements, but I think it's still very true and important that UK remains committed to Europe and vice versa.
Okay, thank you for joining me, Marcus Svedberg there from East Capital. If you want to see our range of topics from Forex to politics, click back and check out our forecasts and analysis section on the homepage. But for now, bye-bye.